Welcome everyone, and thank you to all the new subscribers. In today's episode we will be discussing prehistoric nuclear conflicts. Although we have been told that nuclear warfare only became a realisation after World War II had ended and the Cold War was just beginning, this is not actually the case and actually could not be further from the truth. Even in the Bible, we learn about the possible usage of prehistoric nuclear detonations. Within the book of Genesis, it clearly states the following: "Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew up upon the ground." A huge area of strangely few silica glass is buried across large depths of the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, Eastern Asia, where it is believed a massive city once existed. Other locations where slightly radioactive glass or silicon dioxide have been found include the salt flat called Lop Nur, which is situated on the edge of the Tarim Basin in the Taklamakan Desert and the Kum Tag Desert of the southeastern Eugene province in northwestern China. Were there numerous cities built in remote locations on planet Earth that were destroyed at the same time in a prehistoric nuclear conflict? There are numerous locations on planet Earth where substantial quantities of pure silica quartz have been found. For example, in the Mojave Desert of southeastern California and elsewhere in southwestern United States, there appears to have been some kind of massive thermonuclear conflict that caused the sand to fuse and become pure silicon quartz. Whatever led to the nuclear conflict on planet Earth resulted in massive devastation, which occurred around 8500 BC. The engineer known as Albion William Hart, whilst employed at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, did a scientific inspection of prehistoric silicon quartz and noticed the vast quantities of the substance were chemically identical to the chunks of glass or silicon dioxide left at the Trinity site of the USAAF Alamogordo bombing and gunnery range in southern New Mexico. Such an occurrence was also the case across similar arid locations of the southwestern United States. This means that some kind of prehistoric nuclear conflict might have really happened, because radioactive glass or silicon dioxide has been found in northwestern India, southern Mongolia and northern China and northeast Africa. A huge area of fused silica glass is buried across large depths of the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, Eastern Asia, where it is believed a massive city once existed. Other locations where radioactive glass have been found include the salt flats called Lop Nur, which is situated in the Tarim Basin in the Taklamakan Desert, and the Kum Tag Desert of southeastern Eugene province in northwestern China. Were there once numerous cities built in remote locations on planet Earth that were destroyed at the same time in this prehistoric conflict? There are other wonders, such as the quantities of melted glass that shimmer with glittering blue glass in the ruined city of Karakoto. Such walls were discovered at a depth of 1,850 meters by the Russian archaeologist Pyotr Kuzmich Kozlo on the 16th of October 1908. The glittering blue glass indicated that a vast nuclear conflict possibly happened, and many of the ruins at Karakoto were also found in the Helam Mountain in both western Inner Mongolia and northern China. More than 70 prehistoric stone hillside forts in Scotland have vitrified walls where the stone has melted into glass after becoming exposed to intense heat that could have only come from some kind of nuclear detonation. The The Tap O'Nough hill fort nearby the village of Rhynie in northwestern Aberdeenshire, Scotland, is famous for its vitrified stone walls that have been a fascination to visitors for a very long time. The vitrified fortification, which became known as the Dun Mac Sneoshan among the Scottish Celtic tribes. This fortification is located in Argyll and Bute. After the Roman legions invaded Britain, the same location was called Berry-Gunium. Upon the surfacing of the Dun Mac Sneoshan are stony pieces that contain glassy substances, which indicates the damage to the building could only have occurred during some kind of prehistoric nuclear conflict. Other examples can be found at the village of Benderloch in Argyll and Bute. These locations are both near to Inverness in the Scottish Highlands, where a lot of supernatural activities happen on a regular basis. The intense fascination with nuclear conflict was something that Julius Robert Oppenheimer wanted to explore further. After the attack by the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the US Defense Department triggered the Manhattan Project. That was a covert weapons research program. One of the programs under the Manhattan Project was called Project Trinity, and was directed by theoretical physicist Julius Robert Oppenheimer. He was dedicated to weaponizing nuclear fission as quickly as possible. Julius Robert Oppenheimer was successful in achieving his objective. During the 16th of July 1945, the United States Army Corps of Engineers detonated a test plutonium bomb that is now called the White Sands Missile Range in Tularosa Basin of the Great Basin Ranges. The communities of the Manso Indians who reside around the Great Basin Ranges of the Chihuahuan Desert in southwestern United States have always emphasized that unusual paranormal events occur in that location. The explosion crater of the Trinity site was 300 feet wide and 5 foot deep. Inside was a greenish looking glassy substance that had temperatures of over 3000 degrees Fahrenheit, the minimum needed to melt silicon dioxide into a glass. The radioactive glass was named Tridonite and was considered a unique substance that was not believed to exist anywhere else on planet Earth. Enthralled by the Bhagavad Gita, or Song from the Creator, the Vedic Hindu Indian scripture that was written around 1760 BC. Julius Robert Oppenheimer began Sanskrit studies so he could read the text in the Sanskrit language. While he was a professor before World War II, he has known to quote numerous passages from the Mahabharata, or Great Being Maintained. He would do this in every class lecture. While much consideration is given to the Bhagavad Gita, or Song from the Creator, as a story, Julius Robert Oppenheimer, as a student and professor, was lightly captivated by the explosive burning weapons and devices that were described in detail, so precisely that modern researchers have been able to reverse engineer such technologies as part of the military-industrial complex. One section of the Bhagavad Gita, or Song from the Creator, called the Dronapana, or Bucket Book. This document specifically describes electromagnetic astra, or pointed sticks, which could destroy entire armies, causing crowds of warriors with steeds and elephants and weapons to be carried away as if they were dry leaves of trees. Another weapon was described as producing vertical billowing smoke clouds that open consecutively and like enormous canopies, reminiscent of the massive rising atomic clouds produced at the Trinity site of the USAA Alamogordo bombing and gunnery range in southern New Mexico. Among the most destructive astra or pointed stick was the advanced device known as the Brahmastra, the infinite reality pointed stick, which had apparently been created by the Hindu Indian deity called Brahma Ishvara. From what has been mentioned in the Hindu scripture, the device was described as a single projectile charged with all the power in the universe. It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt, an enormous messenger of death which reduced to ashes an entire race. There was neither a counterattack nor a defense that could stop it. The device known as the Astra or pointed stick produced an incandescent column of smoke and flame as bright as 10,000 solar masses that rose in all its splendour. After corpses were so burnt to be unrecognisable, their hair and nails fell out. Pottery broke without any apparent cause, and the birds turned a whitish hue. After a few hours, foodstuffs were radioactively contaminated and infected. The powerful Brahmastra or infinite reality pointed stick was detonated at the end of the final 18-day conflict of the Kurukshetra. Whilst this was going on, the Pandava or pallid ancestors vanquished their enemy, the Kaurava or priest ancestors with the nuclear device. But the surviving Pandava or pallid ancestors discovered that there was nothing left to occupy and no one left to rule. Seemingly, the infinite reality pointed sticks, which had been used to destroy the community of the Kaurava and turn the Rajasthan or King's Place into the radioactive Great Indian Desert of northwestern India. Declassified accounts from observers that witnessed Project Trinity correlate with the prehistoric descriptions of the weapon called the Brahmastra or the infinite reality pointed stick. Such a device is mentioned in the Dharapana. Many fascinating insights are given in the writings of the Bhagavad Gita or Song from the Creator concerning the prehistoric nuclear conflict that occurred on planet Earth. A witness that observed the nuclear detonation was the USAAF Alam-o-Gordo bombing and gunnery range was the physicist called Luis Walter Alvarez, who was sitting between the pilot and the first officer of a Boeing B-29. Superfortresses, flying roughly 25 miles from the actual Trinity test site. Luis Walter Alvarez mentioned that the intense light covered my field of vision, after which I noted an orange glow. The cloud started to push up. At every test site, there is always UFO sightings. And at Project Trinity, there was one particular crash, which was very interesting. The crash of the spacecraft became known as the Padilla Ranch UFO incident, which allegedly happened in the same year as the Project Trinity occurred in the Chihuahuan Desert in southern New Mexico. When Project Trinity was activated by detonation of a nuclear device on the 16th of July 1945, did the United States Corps of Engineers do this so they could act out some kind of ritual to open up a pathway into locations in the physical universe or alternate dimensions? The Trinity Project in 1945 was also part of the Manhattan Project that ended World War II with the atomic bombing on the 6th of August 1945 on the city of Hiroshima. Exuded uranium radiation then spread across the Hiroshima prefecture of the Chugoku region of the Honshu Island in central Japan. During the 9th of August 1945, the bombing of Nagasaki occurred. Just as with Hiroshima, massive amount of uranium radiation spread and contaminated the Nagasaki prefecture of the Kyushu Island in southern Japan. Whilst the atomic bombing happened, round-shaped metallic spacecraft were seen hovering near to the devastated cities in Japan. When the nuclear detonation was activated on the USAAF Alamogordo bombing and gunnery range, various kinds of UFO sightings arose from this event. Were they drawn to this area of southern New Mexico because of Project Trinity? Additionally, it is also known that whenever nuclear detonations occur, massive lightning storms will then begin to happen. This is because the flumes of radioactive uranium or plutonium dust becomes diffused into the atmosphere, where they cause unusual electrochemical reactions. Did a prehistoric nuclear conflict happen on planet Earth many eons ago? The answer to this question is possibly never going to be fully verified. But it does seem like the elites and the secret societies are entirely aware of the fact that alien spacecraft appear nearby to every nuclear detonation. This is because the detonations can affect the frequencies and vibrations of the geomagnetic ley lines on planet Earth. Does this mean that the elites and secret societies have spent generations wanting to open up dimensional portals to allow malevolent life forms to enter the atmosphere of planet Earth? Such considerations are not likely to be given any scientific confirmation, or at least not for many years to come. But we must continue to ask questions, as we are never given the full answers. The surprising thing I find on all this research is how many questions never get asked, and most people will always believe the official narrative. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please remember you can purchase our book Mysterious Realities, which is now available as paperback, or you can also get the ebook on Amazon Kindle. Also, you can join my Patreon, where you can help contribute to this channel and get perks on different tiers. Thank you as always for your support, and I will see you next week.